sacred cows than anybody else.
Well, unless you're the Charlie,
you know.
well, like unless you're Charlie Kirk, in that case, it's more unless you're the Charlie Kirk killer, and he's all on board the like whole FBI narrative, which is really telling, especially for someone like him.
Yeah. So we're streaming now because I want to talk about this because this is super interesting.
Okay.
So just in the green room before we went live here, we were talking about Nick Fuentes, and Max was saying he's a Fed, and
well, I don't think he's a Fed. I think he's
an asset.
Used in like various ways.
Yeah. To release pressure or something. He's being allowed to operate, or he's directly operating at the behest of somebody for certain reasons.
That's like why I criticize Alberta Separatists, because if they're really a like issue, they would have been crushed a long time ago.
Right. So
Nick was debanked.
Was he debanked? Well,
at 18 he was debanked. You know,
I guess.
Like,
and he's been doing this. Like I remember Greg talking about Nick Fuentes years ago.
Well, he's 26 now.
Yeah, so he's been doing it. And so like I don't watch Nick Fuentes. I've heard of Nick Fuentes. I don't watch Nick Fuentes.
But the first time I saw him was with Tucker, and then the snippets.
I've seen snippets. I've certainly seen
Piers Morgan.
Yeah, that was funny. I've certainly seen snippets, but then Max was also saying there's like between Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all of these other people,
and they're all beefing with each other on and off. It's
weird,
kind of funny to like watch them destroy each other in like a funny sense. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it is interesting
to watch the like drama.
It is interesting to watch. And so like I engaged with Cat Canada the other day, and she was talking about how I'm going to mute you, Noel. Your audio is popping for some reason.
I'll BRB, but I'll be listening. Hold on.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Oh shit! What was I saying? I totally derailed.
You were watching something.
Cat Canada.
Oh, I was interacting with Cat Canada. That's right. And she was talking about how Candace Owens is crazy and stupid and crazy and mean to Erica Kirk, and how dare she be mean to Erica Kirk, and basically anybody who has a question with the official story is a stupid alt-right Nazi idiot. And I'm paraphrasing. Like I don't think it was exactly that forceful or anything like that, but I was like, okay, but anybody with half a brain can look at what's going on with regard to, the Epstein, or any of the crazy things that have happened for the last 9/11. Anybody with half a brain, if you believe the official story unironically, well, I've got some useless items to sell you. You know what I mean? Like you're very, very gullible, and I don't understand how you don't have any questions. And it's notable, I said to her, it's notable that instead of bringing an argument, you just make fun of me. You're not saying, no, I think this is true because X, Y, Z. Here's the evidence. It's, LOL, you're a more. She just did a laughing face, a clown face, and a laughing face and a clown face.
Like anti-Semite.
Yeah, and I was
Israel flag.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Like, do you think that you got the better in this exchange? You expose yourself more by not having any kind of counter argument. You just think anybody who has a question about the Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk obvious psyop that happened is incorrect, and that's true of everybody in that class of media. You're not allowed to ask questions of a sacred cow, and like the Charlie Kirk thing, that's a sacred cow, right? But there's a whole bunch of effed up crazy stuff that happened surrounding all of that. One of the things I wanted to say about Nick Fuentes is he seems, Max, you said he was playing a character, and like,
well, like it's like wrestling, like
yeah.
Hulk Hogan, it isn't the Hulk Hogan you see on stage. They're like Hulk, and like same with like John Cena. The Rock.
Yeah.
These are characters, and the real people are like it's whole performance. Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. It interests me that he's inhabiting this character so fully, and he's allowed to operate, and so. Yeah, because they've taken a lot of people off the air, the pressure and all the rest of it. And so
like Alex Jones, they
cooked
him with like Sandy Hook, for example.
Yeah, but did they though? Right? Like we're what, 10 years out from that, and they're trying, like he's broke, he's lost $1 billion lawsuits, and he's still doing InfoWars or AlexJones.com, and he's still selling health things. And like, yeah, I don't know. Like I hear you that they went after Alex Jones and they went after all these people. As you said, the performative aspect of things, we watched Andy Kaufman square off against, I think it was Ric Flair. I think I got it wrong the last time I mentioned it.
Yeah.
But we watched Andy Kaufman square off against wrestlers, and we knew who wasn't a wrestler. We, like the society, knew who wasn't a wrestler, but we accepted that conflict anyway. And so like now I think the Cat Canada getting in a conflict with other people who disagree on, you know, finer details about whatever, Charlie Kirk or whatever it is, that's a distraction. And the distraction is built to occupy us while they continue flooding our country with.
And if I may add to like the like Charlie Kirk thing, I think whether Candace believes or not, I think it's like, yeah, I agree that there are some stuff that should be asked questions about, but at the same time now it's like WWE. Everyone's beefing with like everyone. Like Candace Owens is going to war with like Tim Pool, and all the Grapers and Nick Fuentes and Mug Club are riding in like on like cavalry, all like the like friggin' Rohirrim from like Lord of the Rings.
It's like watching
like come to Gondor's aid.
It's like watching a 1BC caucus meeting.
It's just, it reminds me of like the internet blood sports debate days of like Gamergate, but like on a grandiose scale. I don't know if you're around for like Gamergate, Mark, but it reminds me of that whole era of like internet beef. But like it's just wrestling at this point, and like I think it's fun to watch, but at the same time we have a lot more worse problems here in Canada that like I want to focus on trying to talk about.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. One of the things I want to talk about as well, I was mentioning to my wife over lunch, because we talk about super light things around Christmas time. And I said, you guys have heard about changing subjects entirely. Bondi Beach, right? All this stuff that's going on with Bondi Beach and the Islamic attack against Jews on Hanukkah. Oh my gosh. Everybody is pushing this line of victims. And they're saying...
Is this Bondi Beach in Australia?
Yeah, Bondi Beach. Is that Bond? I'm getting it wrong. Bondi Beach? Bondi Beach?
Bondi Beach.
I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. Bondi Beach in Australia, yeah. So I was saying to my wife this morning, everybody and their dog is talking about the victims. They're talking about how terrible it is and how we should never let this happen. And don't you see how... hatred and anti-Semitism is flourishing in the West, and we need more rules to deal with this hatred and anti-Semitism. And I was like, no, this isn't about Jews. This isn't about hatred and anti-Semitism. This is about mass migration and bad policies in the West that lead to violence, because these people, we're importing an incompatible culture, and they hate us and want us to die. That's the issue. Not the poor Jews. That's not the issue here. And I mean, sure, the poor victims, awful, terrible. Awful, terrible, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
The victim card, I never could have seen that coming.
It's the same playbook as World War II. And I said, listen, like we have to focus up. We have to look at this for what it is and say, yes, obviously the victims deserve, hope, their thoughts and prayers and all the rest of it. But we need to make sure this doesn't happen again. And in order to make sure this doesn't happen again, we have to address the real issue that has been exposed by this attack on people who are innocent people. That's terrorism. And we need to identify correctly what the problem here is. And the problem here is not poor Jews. The problem here is mass migration into the West. And they don't seem to want to report honestly on that. And if you try and rejig the conversation into that direction instead of the poor Jews, you're an anti-Semite. And I'm like, what? And
they shut it down.
I know, and I want to draw a comparison, but these are two completely different stories, but it's the same thing. C9, they're saying it's an attack on religious freedoms in Canada, religious speech. If you speak about your Bible, if you say something about the Bible, then they can come and arrest you and stuff. And that is not what it is. They're trying to remove genuine belief as a defense against hate. And I want to be so explicit here, because all of the people, the MPs, and I showed an example on my show this morning with Leslyn Lewis, the MPs are using, it's going after religious text and religious words, but it's not. It removes genuine belief. So when you say that man can't be a woman, that's a man, not a woman, and they say that's hateful, right now you can say that's a genuine belief. Like, I'm not being hateful. I was raised to believe men and women can only be men and women and they can't change and blah, blah, blah. They want to remove that protection, that genuine belief protection. It's not just for religious people, it's for everyone. And when they remove that protection, they can charge you with hate for saying that man can't be a woman. And you won't have a defense, because saying, I was raised to believe that, they'll say, okay, you hateful bigot, go to jail, right? And a hate fact says, Peter, yeah. And so these media landscape that we're being subject to takes us off the real problem and gives us a fake problem to deal with. And if you dare to say, that's actually, you guys are wrong, this is not the tree to be barking up, we should be barking up this tree, they will attack you endlessly until you go away. And it's crazy. Like, and I mean, like, not to say I don't know what to do, but I understand the Unabomber a lot better now. And I'm not saying I want to send bombs. He moved out to a cabin in the woods to be by himself for a long time. Well, I understand that aspect.
The best way to put it is that the people in media and parliament, they are calling out the actors on the stage, and we are critiquing the like whole script and plot. That is the best way to put it.
Yes. Yeah. We're saying, yeah. Well, it's a lot like the Wizard of Oz. Like, they've got this front of a facade of reality. It's not real reality. It's a facade of reality. And the facade of reality is C9 is about religious things and those poor Jews. But the real reality is the government of Canada, indeed all governments in the West, are running a full-blown invasion and genocide of the population of those countries over the objections of the population now, and they're justifying it with bullshit laws they wrote in 2017, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And it's like, so not to say that there's nothing anybody can do about it, but I don't know that if you stand up and say, we're not going to take this anymore, you're going to fight a war. And I'm not talking about a little war like, I'm not talking about squeezing the toothpaste wrong war. It's like you're going to fight a full-blown, honest-to-goodness war like
the
World
hammer
War II.
Will it come down on you with everything.
Yeah, for sure. You'll lose everything.
We have nukes now. Hateful. We got nukes now. Like,
no, we don't. Anyway,
listen, I'm going to say is look at the Samson option. Samson option. If you don't know what that is.
No, I don't. What, nukes?
So Samson option is Israel's anti-gun now Israel has. So like they have like nukes pointed at every major capital of like a bunch of nations.
Yeah.
And if they're attacked, Bob's your uncle. We're in a nuclear holocaust, essentially.
Yeah, they haven't done that up to now though. So I'm skeptical at best. Anyway.
Yeah, man. Nothing ever happens.
We're rattling our saber real hard. Don't you make us use our nukes, or you'll be sorry. Okay, sure. MC, thanks, Max. MC.
Well, I'm just a fictional character, but I am so goddamn sick and tired of people saying, we can't ever let this happen again, because it inevitably turns into a campaign to take away another piece of my freedom. And they never let this happen again. It never stops whatever they think they're gonna stop. Like, you're having grieve and get over it. Somebody else is still going to have grief when their loved one dies for some other reason in the future. Like, you're not going to never make this happen again. It's always going to happen again. So shut up and leave me alone. I am just, had enough of the never let this happen. It's impossible for one. And you're just coming to impose on me because you're a jerk.
Yeah, and it's disingenuous, and yes, it is used as a justification to crack down. And I've already seen Keir Starmer and a few other people talking about how we need to strengthen anti-Semitism laws. These people were casually posting on Twitter that they hate Jews, like that paid-off influencer that Canada spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on. They weren't doing that. They were actively taking weapons to populated areas and firing off shots at people. And that's
against the law?
Yeah, that's a big deal. Like that's not like, oh man, well, you can understand though why, right? No, the whole thing is absolutely crazy. And the fact that people are saying, oh no, look at the victims, isn't that terrible about the victims? And they're not saying, how about we string up the politicians professionally and remove them from office because they're the ones running the invasion of the Western countries that are ultimately the cause of these violent events. And until we do that, until we stop this bleeding, because we are bleeding out on the floor right now in the West, until we do that, we will continue to have situations like the violence that happened in Bondi Beach because we are continuing to facilitate the policies that lead to it. Like, who wants to go to a public place? You want to go to a Christmas market? Yeah, no, I don't want to get shot. Thanks. Cheers. I don't want to get run over by a car. Thank you very much. Because Islam decided that Christmas is harem or some bullshit. Like, sorry, guys. But what happens is our culture is genocided because of that. right? Because we have imported people who are incompatible with our culture, and they are doing everything they can to destabilize and destroy the West. And so we're letting them, and we need to stop letting them. And we need to stop letting our politicians distract us so they can continue letting them too. And I mean, England's the worst. England's just the worst. Like, what's happening there is just jaw-dropping, and nobody's doing a damn thing there. And so it doesn't leave me really confident that here people are going to stand up and say, you can't do that. The only thing that is giving me any kind of confidence is that we all collectively said, go F yourselves with the masks and the COVID lockdowns and all that shit. We said, nah, I don't think so. And we didn't have to vote our way out of that. We just said, I don't fucking think so. And so I think that that's going to happen here. I think people are going to say no. But we need a way to get these people out of office. Like, what is happening is intolerable. We are at war, and we don't have a player on the field. And people don't seem to mind. And it's so like, the only players on the field are, again, a handful of people who are talking about the real issues and trying to push back against the false narratives. And if you do that, you risk having a ton of bricks dropped on your head, figuratively and literally.
And so if you don't go to the Christmas market, then the government's going to show up at your door and make sure you're thinking the right way. Mm-hmm. And if you go to the Christmas market, you get shot by people that hate your government anyways, like, and you. Mm-hmm. So
checkmate.
Yeah, well, the joke's on everybody who's still asleep, which is almost everybody.
Yes.
So I don't
damn.
I don't know at this point, but I'm gonna have something to be happy about in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
I think, but I'm not gonna talk about it until January. But what the hell is wrong with these guys? Like, why did you come here if you hate us so much?
Well,
like,
the whole point is the whole point is expansion. The Caligari plan is to have a worldwide caliphate. A caliphate is just like the Pope has a Catholic, like the Pope is the head of the Catholic Church, and that's a worldwide church. A caliphate is the head of the Islamic Caliphate, right? And like you can have two Islamic caliphates. You could have a caliphate in Iran, or you could have a caliphate in like another Islamic place. But I think there's like a main caliphate. But I don't know much about Islam, so double check everything I've just said.
Yeah, well, someone with very marginal education, though, or maybe marginal training, can beat these guys. Like, I've seen videos of the ISIS fighters fighting in the Middle East, and they're not good. Like, they're not taking cover or anything. They're just standing there shooting. You can't hit anything when you're standing, like with a rifle. Like, it's impossible. And like, you got to get into a proper fire position and hopefully behind some cover so you don't get shot. And then they're ridiculous. So I don't like I guess a bunch of, I don't know, people who don't know anything, who are idiots, are going to have to, get killed by a bunch of other idiots who hate them before people figure stuff out. But it wouldn't take a very highly trained force to kick these guys out of here if somebody wanted to.
Well, right, but the problem is you can't operate that force, right? Say some group of people, got a battalion of guys, so a couple of thousand guys, and they were well organized or something like that, and they started trying to deport people. If you don't have the blessing of the government, then they're going to come and arrest you and say what you're doing is in violation of all of these policies that we want running, blah, blah, blah. I agree with you. The problem is solvable. Like, we can fix this if we had the will to fix this across the West, I think. It's certainly we know the problem. We can identify the problem. We know the problem. We can get rid of these people. But the problem is, when you start trying to do that, they're already trying to make the case that Donald Trump is a tyrant because he's trying to do exactly what we're talking about. Identified people who do not belong in the country will be removed, period. And I mean, I think Trump's numbers are still behind Obama's numbers. So, all of that is a bit of a show as well. But fundamentally, even with these numbers lagging Obama's numbers, Trump's not able to get done these things because of legislative malaise and obstruction. Right? Like the people who, and I mean, the malaise is also obstruction, but like people who work one day a week, we didn't get to it Monday and I'll be back next Monday. And now it's 2 weeks vacation. So we won't be back till January. And we won't be back till after Easter. So there's an incentive for these operatives who've been placed by a rogue bureaucracy and a rogue presidency and a rogue executive branch all across the West to obstruct actively, passively, so you can't find them. But unless we remove them all, we're going to be dealing with this bullshit. And we should probably remove them all. And then we should remove the judiciary. We should remove all of these things, replace the judiciary with 3 random people as the judge, no jury, just the judge, and then no lawyers either. You get to make your case to the group of 3 people who are deciding your case, and that's that. And in that way, maybe we'll have some balance restored to justice, something that you can't bribe people. Because in my vision, like it's 3 new people all the time. You just like draft people. Like, okay, well, you've got this case, and then once you do this, that's it. I don't know. You can't have a position like a judge be politically appointed, because you just get a political political activists, and which is where we're living, right? And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the at some point you would think that it's going to get so bad that the government becomes irrelevant, right?
The government is irrelevant. The government is doing its best to make sure that we don't wake up and realize that they're harming us.
But
the government is irrelevant.
But to the people that are still
they're on payroll.
The government is relevant, right?
Yes.
To even the people that hate it, right? That are still going about following the rules. The government's relevant to them because they're following the rules, right? The thing that stops people from taking action is fear of the government's rules. So the government is still relevant. I mean, it has to become so irrelevant that you're just like, I don't care anymore what you say or your representatives, because you guys have done so bad that I'm just going to do things myself because you didn't do anything when you had a chance to do things.
I hear you. Max has had his hand up for a ton of time. So I want to move on quick, but I hear what you're saying with regards to that, with regards to legitimacy and people who are still respecting the rules. The government matters. But what I'm saying is I think that there are elements where the government, so like, here's an example. We have this activist government that's made the speed limit on major city streets 40 kilometers an hour, and nobody changes their speed. Nobody. Like maybe once in a kind of blue moon, I'll be going down the street, but now I can go around them. And I used to just pass them anyway. I was like, nope, not doing this. Sorry, I'm not playing this game. But these people have no power. These little tin pot tyrants who have no power, even over the city that they're supposed to have power over, put these rules in, and everybody just ignores them. 90%, maybe not everybody, but the people who follow those rules are the worst. They're the worst because they're like upset that nobody's listening to the rules. So they're like driving extra slow, and it's like, you're an idiot. And so in that way, there are elements of like, yes, people will follow the rules because if you don't pay your taxes, you're probably going to jail. And it's like, well, I don't want to go to jail. But if I get pulled over and the cop is like, oh, you shouldn't be speeding, I'm going to tell the cop, yeah, I'm going to speed again, buddy. Like, I don't give a shit. This is invalid, and you fucking know it. And I don't feel bad, and I'm not going to pay this ticket. So like, and then when there's problems, if there's ever problems with that, I'm just going to check out of your system. Like, I'm not going to get a driver's license. And like, you're going to put me in jail? Okay. Like, no, they're invalidating themselves with their stupid behavior, and not that they don't know it. I think they do know it, and they're trying to balance it.
Yeah, but the problem is that it is exactly this kind of C9 stuff. When they come to get you because they don't like what you're saying and stuff like that,
it'll be for something else. Yeah.
Well, no. The response is completely out of proportion to whatever it is that you've done. Mm-hmm. Like, you've said something we don't like, so you're in jail for 6 months. It's that power that is not challenged by all of the 90% of non-awake idiots. Mm-hmm. The fact
that pastors in jail for not apologizing. You can't make me apologize. Shove it. No.
Right.
I'm never apologizing. Never.
This is the biggest
Daniel Smith's
problem,
Alberta too.
Yeah.
Is they turn the little stuff into extraordinarily big stuff to the point where a person is just not going to cooperate with it. And then, of course, you'll have 90% of people fearing you because you're so dangerous for not cooperating with them, wanting to lock you up for not thinking the right way.
Yep. No, they're setting the trap and people don't see it. And I do, and you do. So maybe others will too. Thanks, MC. Max.
I fully agree with what everyone says, but I kind of want to talk about, I guess, like the biggest normie story in Canadian politics, and that is another floor crosser. So, I'm going to try and make it. Yeah, I know. I'm going to make it a little short, but I'm going to maybe cut a little bit of a promo on all these CPC and the independent media influencers, but all these Jasmine Lanes, these like elevates, these like Mark Nixon's plebs telling me like, trust the plan, guys. We need to it's fine. Andrew Scheer hid behind curtains to prop up this government. I'm sorry, but if Carney gets one more floor crosser, which in all likelihood he will, this is all on your guys' head and the fault of Pierre Poilievre. Because I'm sorry, Scheer and O'Toole, they were awful leaders, and we all know that. But Pierre is bad because he's a snake and he pretends that he's one of us. But he is also bad because he has had at least under Scheer and O'Toole, people were not leaving the party to cross the floor and bribed. I think if Carney gets a majority before the leadership review, Pierre is done for, and I think it's already too late now for him. But
might be.
In the end, it doesn't matter because it's uniparty. So what does it matter?
It is a uniparty. So I have an alternative suggestion for why they're treating Pierre the way they are. He could not and I think to be very, very clear here, I'm not trying to hold water for Pierre Poilievre. I'm saying the CPC.
Oh, I wasn't accusing you. I was accusing all these influencers.
No, I'm just.
I don't know if you watched what I sent you this week about David. It was David Creighton's podcast with Nico Logan, and I'm glad people are finally starting to call out these CPC shills. It only took us a few elections, but we're finally there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you watch that, Mark, but it's a very fun listen to. And Nico Logan did have Mark Nixon on his show on his own YouTube, and it gave me the same vibe as you debating John Carpe.
Oh, interesting.
It was great. I'll drop it in the chat when I have a second. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I didn't get to it this week. It's just I've been very busy, so I haven't had a lot of extra time. But I appreciate it. But what I was going to say is an alternative. Sorry, give me a sec. I've got a bit of a cough. I've been telling MC about it. An alternative outcome or an alternative reason they're going hard on Pierre is that maybe he's seeing the corruption and they want to undermine him, seeing the corruption, or maybe he's trying to undo that, so they want him gone. Because if he's such a bad leader of the CPC, wouldn't you want to face him in the next election? You know what I mean? We won handily last time. We almost got a majority. So face that guy, no problem. He's easy to beat. The idea that they want him ousted means that there's something going on behind the scenes. So we don't know. And one of my main frustrations with the CPC party is why do they keep supporting the Liberals? What's the strategy here?
I fully agree.
But they don't tell anybody the strategy.
And then trust the plan. Trust the plan.
Yeah. And they don't ever tell anybody about the strategy. So it's kind of frustrating. So, and I understand you can't be open about your strategy necessarily because your opponent is right there. But if you talk about things that people care about, if you say a new Mark government is going to leave the United Nations. A new Mark government is going to leave the WHO. A new Mark government is going to prevent any foreign aid from leaving the country until there are 0 homeless people in Canada who were born in Canada and everybody else is effing well deported. And instead of sending more foreign aid to Ukraine, we're going to do tax reductions and we're going to get rid of the income tax. I bet you that'd be popular, and you wouldn't need any tricks, and you wouldn't need to pander to direct flights from Amistad and all this other bullshit. I bet you it would effing well work. I bet you could say, I'm sick and tired of people apologizing for the West, and we won't apologize for the West. We're going to continue building the greatest society in the history that we know anyway, Tartaria. But it's one of those things that instead of focusing on building things and benefiting our citizens, our political class wants to tax us more and shame us into paying carbon taxes for their globalist communist bullshit. And I'm sick of it. And I can't believe that more people aren't sick of it. So sick of it. Thanks, Max. Ryan?
I did drop that debate in the chat in case you want to save it or if no.
I have it in my email and I didn't. I have it in my email.
No, this is a different debate.
Oh, it's a different one. Oh, okay.
This is the one between Mark Nixon and Nico Logan, which just happened Friday. So,
all right. Cool.
I did not send that one to you.
Okay, good. Good to know. I will check this out too. I'll put it on my list of things to watch, and then it will be easier for me to pick up when I'm washing dishes. Although sometimes I open the wrong app and I get sucked into I want to go and finish watching a marketing video that I was watching earlier, and then I get sucked into a whole of YouTube videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So okay, this is on my list of things to watch. Thank you, Max. Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just to go along there with what you guys kind of were saying. Well, example is 1BC, like Dallas Brody. She's getting thrown out.
Yeah, we got to talk about 1BC.
They're trying to destroy that party because it's the fastest growing party in BC.
Well, okay, so what I understand about what happened is that Dallas Brody on Friday fired all of her senior staff and brought on Wyatt Claypool. And this was an announcement made by Kian Bexty yesterday. I put it on my show today. And then when Wyatt Claypool came on, I think, based on the allegations or based on the release from 1BC, I think Dallas Brody directed her chief of staff, now Wyatt Claypool, to secure the servers for the 1BC email accounts, the 1BC the email list, so like your MailChimp, whatever that is, wherever you hold your list of people that you're soliciting for money and who've told you that they want you to solicit money because they want your political party to win or whatever. I think that he was told to do that by Dallas Brody, and so he did it. And they said, you aren't allowed to unilaterally do that, and directing your chief of staff to do that is a violation of everything we're comfortable with. And so they removed her in the middle of the night, like 11 p.m. BC time, based on the tweet. Like it was middle of the night, Saturday night, that this happened. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, Dallas Brody posted, come do a meet and greet with the leader of 1BC in BC somewhere. I can't remember where. And then the 1BC people put out the communications saying that they tried to access. Oh, as well, Dallas Brody said, we're having a problem with the servers, so send email to 1BC to this email and not the other email. And then 1BC responded to that. And so I think that I think that Dallas Brody made a catastrophic error. I think that I don't know that this is anybody trying to destroy the party. I think this is, but I could be wrong. I
I'm not sure with all that either.
Yeah. But the timeline of events
all happened on a weekend.
The timeline of events paints the picture of self implosion, right? Like this timeline of events does not paint the picture of an extronal force, other than maybe Claypool, but that doesn't make sense either. Like if he acted unilaterally to do that, that's crazy.
And she was talking about like there was a lot of people phoning her. The 4 or 5 guys phoning her wanting to join her party, and these guys are very high up there, I guess. I don't know who they are. They got lots of money, they're lawyers, they're whatever, right? Yep. Like her, and well, her party's been growing like huge, and the NDP, the power that be, they don't want that. They want to get I'm thinking there's something there, and they just wanted her gone again. Like for the last few years, she's just been having nothing but problems and stuff. But the powers that be, they're controlling. Like I guess I'm saying like with the federal government, like Pierre and stuff. They want Pierre gone, so they just lie about him and stuff like that, and try and destroy the Conservative Party. I just wanted to say, yeah, I agree with you guys, kind of thing. Yep. There's stuff going on. It's interesting.
It is, and sometimes, sometimes I think there's a hidden hand, And other times I think, holy cow, this public. I was watching Die Hard last night, one of the best Christmas movies of all time, and like
Hell yeah.
so like the
Classic.
yeah, it's great. So I was at the part where they rigged the roof. And the FBI guys are standing at the bottom, and the helicopters are coming in. And like I was thinking, imagine being these guys. Like they have no idea the big explosion that's coming. Like shit's about to hit the fan, and these guys have no fucking clue. And like imagine being. And so sometimes I feel like I'm that FBI guy, and like Wyatt Claypool blows up 1BC, and I'm like, holy shit balls, like that's crazy. Can you imagine? Like, and so all these political explosions, I'm like, I love it because I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, holy shit balls, like we get to watch this, right?
Game of Thrones.
Like, eat
Game
the
of
popcorn,
Thrones.
baby, yeah. And so like I find it very interesting, but then like so that's the political pundit side of me, like the holy cow, there's a happening, like look at this Nakatomi explosion, holy shit balls, right? You don't see that every day. But the other side of me is like, oof, like what this means for our society is pretty bleak, right? Like and like pretty bleak in that to fix it is going to take a little bit of time, right? It's gonna take Max has got his popcorn. It's gonna take time, and the time is not something that I don't think that we have because we're already losing our culture.
There's going to be more walking across to the Liberals. They're going to get their majority. Everything's going to, it's just unreal.
Yeah,
man.
there's a lot of unrest though. The Ma thing has got more backlash than they were expecting, I think. So yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. Thanks, Ryan.
Crossing the floor should be illegal though. Honestly, if you're going to do it, run a by-election.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Like this is, again, I don't like the government that Canada apparently voted in, but this is sure not the one that we voted in as a Canadian.
Nope, I agree
right?
there. I agree.
And what they're doing is
stealing the election 6 months later.
Exactly, right? I tell so many people, right, the elections are rigged, and they're like, how? I got a buddy of mine, he was a scrutineer. He's like, no, I don't believe it. I said, okay, you just wait and you just watch. And well, this weekend we've had some good conversation. It's like, hey man, it's still rigged. If it takes them 6 months to win it or a year to win it, it doesn't matter.
It took 5 years.
Look at what I texted you earlier in the week, Noel. Look at what I texted you. You like as soon as we found out about the floor crosser, I'm like checked out of the system, bro. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
It's a shame that this is where we're at. And like I was out in the grand city of Halifax last night, and I was talking to a guy from England. He'd been here 30 years. He goes, you know what? I was here for 20 years. I didn't even care about Canadian politics because it just flowed. It didn't matter, right?
Well,
but
Canada almost went bankrupt in 1995. So.
Yeah, and that's probably when like the day he arrived. So
yeah, right. He was like, "Oh man, this is a nice place." Yeah.
So for 20 years, it didn't matter, and then for the first 5 years of the Trudeaus, it was like it started changing this guy's mind. Man, we had an amazing conversation at that bar last night, and it was just it's good to hear somebody that is older than me. He's probably in his 50s, maybe 60s, and just as livid as we are on this panel. And for the one thing that he really said, he goes, "How can England hold on for another 3 more years?"
Oh, England's done. We might be done too.
Well, and he even said exactly what Mark always says: just look at England. You'll see what's going to come to Canada.
I hope I'm wrong about that.
I hope you are too, but it's just making more and more apparent.
Oh, it's fair. It's scary. Thanks, Noel. And
so does Elizabeth May have the full power right now?
What?
Yep, she's the balance of power.
Yikes, that's scary. Thanks, Noel, and sorry, MC, your turn. Go.
Well, so how do we keep ending up at the mercy of these party boards of directors? Like it's
the elections are rigged.
Yeah, I know, but also
parties are rigged.
If putting aside the elections being rigged and stuff, also in their back pocket, they can wheel out this group of shadowy figures, basically, that were supposedly elected by members of the party. Like it reminds me of a couple of years ago when all of a sudden they took out the leader of the Independence Party of Alberta, right? Mm-hmm. That was obviously some kind of infiltration and destruction job on purpose, right?
Jim Carahalios is another example of that when he was running for CCP leader. CPC leader.
Yeah.
So, they have it basically all set up. like it really divides the I don't know, nonconformist movement because like anyone who sounds good, don't trust them. Anyone who sounds good, like, oh, I have all this experience and life experience, be your advisor and stuff like that. Like, go away, stay away from me. You're going to sabotage my efforts.
So that's true. So, but what happens is like, I know that a good resume, quote, good resume in politics is a red flag. Like, you have glad-handed, you have made, quote, compromises that are compromising your constituents for your own personal well-being. And that's bad. Right, like you should, and like by your own personal well-being, I mean you agreed with speed camera company to take profits at the expense of your constituents, quote, for their safety, comrade. And now that made your life easier because you had more money to spend on services, but your friends maybe get kickback. So the cronyism that is inherent in that kind of deal is not examined at all, and they want to come off like, oh, we're just doing good, and they don't even see that it's not just good. There's a lot of negative downsides, and people are ignored. I don't know. Maybe the populations are just too big. Like I saw a study that basically says I can't remember which country, but it's a Nordic oil rich country, maybe Norway. But basically, there are 8 million people is the population, and they have a $200 billion wealth fund that is in oil. Like, the country is just friggin' rich, and so the hypothesis was that the balance of population was such that it was easy to manage and easy to make sure that it was benefiting the citizens. And that when you got bigger than, the paper said 10 million, when you get bigger than that size of population, it becomes too complicated, and corruption becomes the rule rather than the exception. And I was like, that's super, like, so maybe that's a solution.
Power also becomes centralized in like these big city centers, like look at Toronto and like Montreal, and even a lot of parts of Quebec.
Yep.
Yeah, well, yeah, and even like, it doesn't even have to be someone with political experience. If someone came to me and said, "Oh, I'm just some down to earth rancher who's built my fortune," I'm like, "Hey, no, are you successful? Then I guess I don't trust you." Like, really,
give me somebody who's never been able to do anything at all. No, I want people who are able. So somebody was saying, intelligence is the most important thing. And I know people who are smarter than me, but they were so smart they didn't have to work for it. I am smart, but I had to work for certain things. Math is not easy for me, and I had to work for math. And there are certain other things that I had to work for. So I learned that working hard yielded better results than just relying on my smarts. And so other people who I know who are much smarter than me don't know how to work, and they don't know how to produce things. And so I'm further ahead because I can deliver, right? I can actually put something on the table and be like, boom, you wanted that, I got it for you, here it is. And I can deliver. And so like, if somebody's been able to build a business, if somebody's been able to do something, as long as we're not having kickbacks, as long as the reason, like Mark Carney, the reason that they're in the position is not to enrich themselves in their old company, then I'm okay with a doer and somebody who's proven their ability to actually get shit done in the position to get shit done. Because I think that anybody who's got the country for top of mind, if you're given two options, should we increase or decrease the number of people coming in from these incompatible societies, right? Like, I know what all of our elected MPs would say, and I know what I would say, and I know what a lot of, regular Joes would say on the street type deal, I think. And I don't trust the MPs would say, yes, we need to increase it. And me and people that I think I know what they'd say would say, yes, we have to end it, drive it down to zero. And we don't have any way to bridge that divide.
Well, for sure, there's a big difference between being smart and having a moral compass. And what's becoming kind of more apparent to me is there's a big difference between being an idiot who gets handed a smart plan from your ancestors and having a moral compass. Right.
Well, we denigrated. I mean, the plan that we were handed is 100 years old, 150 years old, right? Like, here's a country if you can keep it, right? We were so arrogant. We walked away from like Catholicism and Christianity.
the globalist plan.
No, oh, I thought you were talking about like the plan of like here's a country, you can have it if you want it, and then like we're so arrogant, we walked away from our religion and we walked away from having a cohesive country, all for these magic beans, and I'm pretty sure these magic beans aren't going to do shit.
Well, the whole point.
The minute we walked away from being a Christian country and making sure everybody that came into this country stuck to that, we gave away everything.
It was just a matter of time before it all fell down.
So the whole point of freedom, though, is that you don't have a centralized plan, right? A centralized plan requires all the rules and conformity that that they've been pushing down on us all my life and are trying to increase drastically now.
Yep.
And actually, so I kind of think that barring a miracle of some sort, like there's only one logical outcome of this, and there only has been one logical outcome of this since 2020. But, in terms of actually fixing things, you have to decentralize, and you can't get the centralized system to give up its powers. So basically, you have to get a strong man who's going to decentralize everything.
And that's very difficult because once you get that strong man in, that strong man is like, I like power and I can make people's lives better with all this power that I've got.
Yeah, but so because you need to be like in your community, the guy, right? That guy that I don't trust because he's been too successful. So he must have been, rigging the game somehow. If he's in your community and you know him, then you go, okay, yeah, this guy makes sense as someone who can, make decisions for us because I know him and he's local.
Yeah.
And if he gets out of hand, we're going to go string him up.
That's the key. And it's been hijacked. Yes. Well, and it's been hijacked. And like it's been hijacked in the same way that I talked about how C9 and the victimhood conversations. Instead of talking about the thing that is actually going on, we've got these tangential things we talk about. And it's like it's built to distract us. It's built so we don't address the things that we're supposed to be addressing. I think.
To circle back to what Scott says, I bring it up because I'm a big fan of like the media. But if anybody has ever read or watched Lord of the Rings, what we're living through is very similar to how the kingdom of Gondor slowly started to decline. I don't know if anybody has, but would you guys just mind if I read what Tolkien wrote? It's short and I'll be quick, but it's very powerful. So the old wisdom born out of the West was forsaken. Kings made tombs more splendid than houses of the living, and counted the old names of their descendants dearer than the names of their sons. That is what we are living through right now.
Yeah,
where we are so focused on the past, and we are not preserving what was like what we should be.
I agree. We've been, I think, bribed as a society into abandoning everything that mattered. Kids, family, everything that mattered for some promise of utopia, but the utopia was vague and not for us. Actually, it was for other people who were going to come in and take all of the stuff that we built. So yeah, I think you're not wrong, man. It's certainly a concerning time, and it doesn't seem like we're on the other side of it. You know what I mean? Like, when you're halfway up a mountain or something like that, and you're like, oh, the hard part's done now. I don't even think we've really hit the hard part. We're still going up on this roller coaster. We haven't even hit the drop, really. Mm-hmm. We've had some tastes of the drop. Like, I think 2020 was, I don't know if it was a rehearsal or if they thought they got us and they were going to just go with it as long as we believed them or what. I don't know what it was, but it seemed like more than a rehearsal. It seemed like they were ready to go. So that was sobering, but it was disturbing how many people were just fine with going along with it. And now they're doing basically COVID again without the COVID. And that's interesting.
Yeah. And as much as we talk about the mainstream politics news cycle thing being a distraction and stuff, it still, for all those people, still doesn't hold a candle to hockey or the NFL, right? They like most people aren't even paying any attention to politics, no matter how bad it gets, because they're busy with other things that are even more minor and trivial distractions than that.
Hockey's real in a way that politics isn't. And like sports more broadly is real in a way that politics isn't. So like you can have a position on a player. You can say that player's a freaking bum, right? And you're not going to get disowned by your family if you think that, right? And you can have impassioned arguments about that and nobody's going to be really mad at you. Nobody's talking about not inviting you to dinner because you don't like A-Rod or whoever. Scott says hockey's entertaining. Yeah, it's real, right? You can have conversations about it in a way that you can't have conversations about politics. If you say they're replacing us, your aunt is going to get upset. Whereas if you say we scored 4 goals and beat those guys yesterday, all right, I'm going to drink again, everybody's like, yeah, we sure did. So like we have been, and the same thing with, I was watching Doc Martin. Do you anybody watch that show? It's like a medical
Those are
show.
Shoes.
There are shoes, but
the only medical show I have watched was like House MD.
No,
it's funny.
oh my god, yeah, House was a great show. But no, Doc Martin is like early 2000s show about a British doctor who was a surgeon in London or something like that. He was a very high-powered like surgeon, and something happened, and he decides to move to the country and take a practice. And I can't remember why I was telling you about Doc Martin. Shiza.
Because it's funny.
It is funny. And they had a character. They had a character in it. And so the character in Doc Martin started talking about God in a really obnoxious way, like in a real, like inserting it in also, like he would, the love interest was a woman named Louisa. Everybody called her Louiser, because like that's the accent. But I thought, why would you name your daughter Louisa if everybody called her Louiser? Like, anyway, I can get over that. I was like, but this guy was an old love interest of Louisa's, and he came in, and it was like 3 seasons of him being obnoxious about God. And then they removed him as a character because he got unpopular with the view, like the people watching the show didn't like him anymore. And I was like, well, you made him unwatchable. Like you made him quote scripture randomly. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like he's not relatable at all. So they do these things to, like, you're not allowed to talk politics. You can talk hockey. Hockey's real, so you're reinforced by talking hockey. Whereas if you talk politics, you're going to get uninvited from certain things. If you talk religion, we don't have a lot of examples of people speaking about religion in a way that's accessible. A lot of the time, it's priests browbeating people because they claim their interpretation of the Bible is the one that is, and God's saying this in this part of the Bible. And it's like, I don't think that that's relatable. I think that we've lost the mojo of it. We keep doing the ceremony of it, but we've lost understanding. And without understanding, there's no magic to it.
Knowledge versus wisdom.
Yeah, it's like singing a Christmas carol that you don't care about. If there's nothing behind the eyes, it's just there. It's just a fake action you go through, and then whatever, you just move on with your day.
It's like tending a tree without the knowledge of why you're actually tending it and why you're taking care of it.
Yeah, right. And like, it's not like you care about the tree. You'll do everything that needs to be done by the tree, but like, you don't understand why you're doing this thing. Why. Yeah, there's no connection, right? Like the tree is there and thriving. You're there doing all the things, but there's no connection between the two things. And I'm not even sure that the tree is there and thriving. I think that the religion that was Christianity in 1900, to pick a day randomly in the past, Christianity in 1900, vastly different than Christianity in 1980, and even more different than Christianity in 2025. And I think that Christianity in 1980 and Christianity in 2025, vastly different. I remember a church that cared about people. I don't think that's true of the Catholic Church now or the most Christian churches. Most Christian churches, and I'm not trying to be mean to people, I'm not trying to be rude to people, I'm just talking about what I've viewed on my limited ability to view it. But most churches are been taken over by the Rainbow Squad, like have been taken over by the LGBTQ whatever community. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these places are soulfully nurturing to some people, but I look at this and I can't help but see corruption everywhere. And it's not the old corruption that we used to see, and the old corruption that we used to see, pedophilia and all the rest of it, has been replaced by convincing kids that maybe they're born in the wrong body and that MAP people are just like everybody else or something like that, which is basically the same thing that was happening in the 80s, just rebranded. It's weird. It's weird. Ryan.
Well, it's another thing of trying to include everyone without demanding any accountability, right? You're going to get evil walking in your door, and that's how it goes. Although I've also seen some not unconvincing information that indicates that Christianity was kind of repackaged in the 3rd century to pacify the population. Yeah,
because people... I was talking with somebody, my daughter. I was talking with my daughter about Christmas and rebirth of Jesus and the Son and all sorts of other stuff. And I said, well, Christmas is older. I said, like, the celebration of the time of year is older than Christmas. The Sun's done that since the Sun's been around, and people celebrated it before it was Christmas. It was a pagan holiday that celebrated it. And Eastern Orthodox Christians celebrate Christmas on January 6th because it's, I'm actually not sure. I can't speak to that right now. I should find out. But like, there's all sorts of...
I can speak to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Christmas is Mithraism. Easter and Christmas Day are not what they say they are. They aren't about Jesus Christ.
Right.
They were pagan holidays long before Jesus Christ was born. And actually, Christmas Day, a lot think that is actually Lucifer's birthday.
Interesting.
And most theologians, and we have to take them all with a grain of salt, believe that Jesus Christ was born in spring.
April 1st, right? Which used to be the New Year's Day.
Passover.
And the similarities between Christmas and Easter is not just the birthday and then death day, rebirth of Jesus, is on the 21st of December. The sun is at the lowest point in the sky, and it stays 21st, 22nd, 23rd of December. It rises to the same height, and on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and then the 24th, the night of the 24th into the 25th, it rises higher again, and that's the rebirth of Jesus and a promise of a return for crops, and we're not going to die, and yeehaw. And the same thing happens in Easter. The sun hangs in the sky. The tortoise and the hare is a story about the moon and the sun. And
summer solstice and winter equinox, which are the high holidays of the Satanists.
Interesting. Yeah. So there's more. The more I look into these rabbit holes, Van, the more I'm like, holy shirt balls. We inhabit a reality that is fully constructed by the things around us, and we make our reality. And if you start to peel back what people did in history and not assume that they were just like us, behaving just like us, and look at what they actually did, it's super interesting. Like, it's super, super interesting. I find it and I mean, the internet, what an unbelievable piece of technology. I mean, I think it's maybe doing harm to humanity, but like, it's such an interesting thing to be able to access so much information and the communication, et cetera, et cetera. But without it, there'd still be different cultures in the world. Now we're kind of a homogenized culture, which is weird, right? Like, and it's been homogenized by the internet. So that's weird. And like English and Chinese or Japanese. Anyway, it's super interesting. The world is a crazy friggin' place. I can't get over it.
Just going back to the pastors there,
sure.
You're talking about and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a few people that they're trying to, while they're watching a bunch of people getting injured from the COVID vaccines, and they've actually gone to investigate a lot of the pastors, especially in the States. They were given money from Pfizer to promote their shots.
Yeah.
So like what you're saying is religion, like any of the churches, is way different from back then to right now. It's unreal that way. Yeah.
The churches are corrupted by the 501c3. There is no church worth going to. The true church is the people that are in their bodily temple and joined together in prayer in Jesus Christ's name and the Holy Spirit. That is the true church, not the building down here where the Luciferians meet on Sunday.
Indeed.
Nice.
I've often said, and I try and teach my kids, because because I don't trust the churches around here because they've all got LGBT flags up, and I just don't think that's right. But I tell my kids that you don't need a church to have a relationship with God. Like you don't need to. And I wasn't raised in a church, so I'm not trying to denigrate anyone's religion. I was raised kind of watching other people who were very, very involved in the church, and I wasn't. And so I watched what they did, and I thought it was interesting, but I never got the indoctrination that they got. And so I'm not trying to pass any judgment on what people are doing. I'm just trying to say this is what I've seen. And yeah, I just think it's a really interesting situation where we've been told as a society, you need a church and you need to pay dues. My parents stopped going to a church because the priest came to them one day and they said, "You're not paying enough. Like you have to do more." And my dad was like, "How about F you, buddy?" And we never went back. And so you don't need to pay somebody to worship God. You don't need to pay somebody to have a conversation with God. It's right in your head. You could do it anytime you want. And indeed, you should do it before bed. That's what I do.
Be in prayer without ceasing, I say, and absolutely pray over all your meals and before bed. In fact, pray without ceasing means to have a constant conversation with the Holy Father and his Son, Jesus Christ, all day long. That is what the Bible recommends.
Yeah,
and you don't need a church because the Bible tells us where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, so shall he be in the midst of us.
Interesting. Well, I think that's a good time to end it. MC. Okay. Sounds good. No, that's all right.
I agree. I don't understand why anyone would trust another man to tell them what their interpretation of the relationship of God should be. That's ridiculous. But also, there's so many other questions to ask. Like, why do people get marriage licenses? What the hell business does the state have giving you permission to get married?
It's just like the Pharisees being in the temple and selling their wares there. They had to be the middleman between God and that couple.
Yeah, and it's
ridiculous. Wasn't that also to make sure that you weren't marrying somebody inside your family? Wasn't that to make sure that the bloodlines didn't get crossed?
I don't think they do any vetting these days.
No, they don't.
Like when my brother
Ilhan Omar
married, he just went to one of them justice of the peaces and said, "Come and get me married to this woman," and then they signed a thing at the ceremony.
Like, nobody wants to do the genetic testing because if the genetic testing comes back hinky, you're not going to be like, "Oh man, well, Sarah, it's been nice, but I guess we're done. See you later." You know.
Well, and also getting to your relationship with God thing, that would be up to you to notice, "Hey, you're my cousin, so we shouldn't do this," and then not do it, right? Like it's still none of the government's business.
Oh yeah.
This chick you're marrying is a dude.
Sounds like having common sense.
In Canada, they would do the opposite. They'd be like, "Listen, this chick's a little female for you, bud. How about this trans woman here?"
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. There's so many crazy things. Good questions. Birth certificates were relatively new as well, right? Like birth certificates weren't something that was widely done as far as I understand it. Prior to 1930, but maybe even 1950, birth certificates.
Well,
and it's to register babies
into slavery, right? Right on their birthday. Yep.
Registered births have been going on since at least the 1800s because you can go back into Nova Scotia history. I can go back into Ontario history. I can find the actual paperwork for my grandfather's registered birth in 1909.
But that's local. It wasn't sending back to the federal government, right? Like I'm just talking like federal government's collection of.
Well,
that
no,
kind of
it
stuff.
would be because it was counted in a census.
Was it counted in the census? Maybe.
Yes, 100% it was, and it was recorded what your father's name was, your mother's name, your father's occupation, the doctor, like where it happened. Like they actually recorded a lot of information. Mm-hmm. And the other thing of when they recorded back then, their handwriting, which was all done by males back then because women didn't have the right to read or they didn't have the privilege to read or write mostly. So if you look at a lot of the handwriting from back then, it is immaculate. It is very elegant. And now look at an average male's handwriting nowadays. Mm-hmm. Pretty well chicken scratch.
Yeah. Well, we're not. Schools are made for boys.
No,
No.
they don't teach cursive writing in Canada either,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
I
Sorry,
had one
MC?
teacher that
Hold on.
tried to in
Sorry.
1 grade.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry,
The-
Max. MC, go ahead.
The birth certificate thing is interesting because there are a lot of people around here that I think should have to prove they were born here, right? Like, like in order not to be made to leave. So, you know, although being born here merely being born here probably isn't enough. That, you know, but but there's a case to make for birth certificates, right?
I'm not necessarily saying there isn't a case to be made for birth certificates. I'm just saying that there's a system that was rolled out that I understood anyway, post 1930, 1950 to centralize the information in order it was the opening motions of a digital ID or a track and trace ID style system. I could be wrong, and I'm not necessarily.
It all happened about the same time as the Federal Reserve took control of our lives and made us slaves.
That's
and that,
1913.
That paperwork is part of it.
And the end of the past world order, I guess, was in the 1900s when what's his name, the German Wilhelm. The leader, Wilhelm, and I've talked about this before, but Wilhelm had a world order that was set up in Europe, and he seeded it with family. So it was run like a mafia, like a Sicilian mafia. All of the kings and queens of Europe were all related to Wilhelm. He was the patriarch of the whole thing, and he ruled it with an iron fist. You'll do what I say. You'll go to war. You guys will do a war for 6 months, and then we'll just stop it. Like he did things to run his world order, but that was the world order. Wilhelm died, and they needed to set up a new world order. In order to set up a new world order, they needed financing, so they targeted, well, the 1912 sinking of the Titanic led to the creation of the Fed, and then the creation of the Fed led to World War I. World War I led to World War II, and World War II led to the modern world. And the modern world is vastly different than what things looked like in 1900. And that's what I'm saying. We've been taken on a journey to change us fundamentally from citizens that wouldn't tolerate what we're tolerating now to citizens that gladly hand over 60% of their production and actually take more, please, because we're too stupid to know better.
It all goes back to Babylonian control, and then it's still the same Babylonian control. It's just changed its entities and names.
Are you saying this is Rome? Are you saying this is Rome?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, I agree. Yes, 100%. The same people who were in
It's
charge.
called Rome now. It's still Babylon.
Yeah.
You
Right.
all
Yes.
agree
Yeah.
to?
But the power in the Roman Empire allowed Rome to fall. They kept their power. They kept their connections. They're billionaires multiple times over. We know their names: Rothschilds, Rockefellers. These people.
Rockefellers,
And
Carnegie.
yes. And it's all tied together. And like, if you take this circumspect look, if you look at this not as the sinking of the Titanic, the creation of the Fed, World War I and World War II, not as individual events, but as a tied together event, and all of it ties up back to digital ID in 2025, the picture is fucking terrifying. It's terrifying because it's like, this isn't an accident, like this is planned. And
We're in a world of trouble right now, folks.
worlds of trouble. This is the opening movements of a starvation event. And I hope I'm wrong about that because I love chocolate cereal.
Well, the depopulation plan didn't work with the
jabby jab. Yeah. So they've taken all the mosquitoes away. Like, if you notice, it's winter, so there's a lot fewer bugs. So I'm not so worried about it now. But in April, there's not going to be any bugs. It's so weird, right?
Mark,
there's no
that's
bugs.
a great point. When I was a kid, I can remember traveling just about any time that wasn't winter, and your windshield would be covered in bugs between every gas stop, and you would have to get out and physically clean it to see through it. Not anymore.
I used to work in Mount Forest, and I would drive to Mount Forest from Guelph every day. I worked in a school in Mount Forest, and I lived in an apartment in Guelph, which was a dumb move. But nobody told me it was a dumb move. I should have realized that. Regardless of that, I drove every day up that Highway 6 highway, and every day, or once every other day, I would have to stop at the gas station. There's a Midway gas station that I like to stop at because it was cheap, and it had a really, really good squeegee thing. And I was like, and I knew it was a good squeegee thing because I like getting the gross bugs off my windshield. No bugs anymore. And so I hope I'm wrong. It seems like they want us to eat cricket flour, so they're going to say you can starve if you want, but we've got these cricket flour if you want. I hope I'm wrong about the starvation event thing. I don't want that to
Actually, on that note, in September, I was kind of in the middle of nowhere. And the one thing I noticed was there was tons and tons of wild blueberries, and they were like shriveled up still on the bush. Like I would have expected the deer or the other animals to have come along and ate all those blueberries because they're delicious. Even shriveled, I was eating them. But there were lots that were still on there that did not get consumed by animals.
Loaded with aluminum, barium, and strontium that start out with those straight line clouds in the sky that spread out to cover it that Bill Gates is funding.
Well, I did lose consciousness for a few days after.
It was a blueberry fever. Okay, with that, I want to speak to MC before we go, but I'm going to do that in the green room. With that, we got to say goodbye to everybody. So thanks for watching, everybody. I don't know if we'll be here next week, but we'll try. I'll be in contact anyway.
Please.
Well,
Yeah, for real.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch